be with you and a warm welcome to you from all of us here at Powers Court with Kilbride. It's Sunday the 12th of September and you're very welcome to join us for the next 15 or 20 minutes as we draw together from various parts and places and acknowledge the presence of Christ with us as we hear His holy word proclaimed this day. In our epistle, we continue through that wonderful book or letter of James. Today we consider the power of our words, the power of our speech, what differentiates us from other living creatures with regard to conscience and words, and the effect that each and every word that we utter can have on others and indeed on ourselves. But first, coming into the presence of Christ, acknowledging that ever-constant presence with us, we draw breath.
Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers and sisters, for you know that we who teach will be judged with greater strictness, for all of us make mistakes. Anyone who makes no mistakes in speaking is perfect, able to keep the whole body in check with a bridle. If we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we guide their whole bodies. Or look at ships. Though they are so large that it takes strong winds to drive them, yet they are guided by a very small rudder, whenever the will of the pilot directs. So also the tongue is a small member, yet it boasts of great exploits. How great a forest is set ablaze by a small fire, and the tongue is a fire. The tongue is placed among our members as a world of iniquity. It stains the whole body, sets on fire the cycle of nature, and is itself set on fire by hell. For every species of bird and beast, of reptile and sea creature can be tamed, and has been tamed by the human species. But no one can tame the tongue, a restless evil full of deadly poison. With it we bless the Lord and Father, and with it we curse those who are made in the likeness of God. For the same mouth come blessing and cursing. My brothers and sisters, this ought not to be so. Does a spring pour forth from the same opening both fresh and brackish water? Can a fig tree, my brothers and sisters, yield olives, or a grapevine figs? No more can salt water yield fresh. Gospel reading is from Mark 8, verses 27 to 38. Jesus went on with his disciples to the villages of Caesarea Philippi, and on the way he asked his disciples, "What do people say that I am?" And they answered him, "John the Baptist, and the others Elijah, and still others one of the prophets." He asked them, "But who do you say that I am?" Peter answered him, "You are the Messiah." And he sternly ordered them not to tell anyone about him. Then he began to teach them that the Son of Man must undergo great suffering and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests and the scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. He said all this quite openly, and Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But turning and looking at his disciples, he rebuked Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan, for you are setting your mind not on divine things but on human things." He called the crowd with his disciples and said to them, "If any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For those who want to save their lives will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. For what will it profit them to gain the whole world and forfeit their life? Indeed, what they can give in return for their life. Those who are ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of them the Son of Man will also be ashamed when he comes in the glory of his Father and with the holy angels.
Words are incredibly powerful. I used to love the excuse of having 3 small children when it came to going to see Harry Potter movies. I loved them. To me, J.K. Rowling was a bit of a hero. She is an incredibly gifted writer, and her use of words has created amazing creatures and monsters and situations, not to mention spells. There are spells within her books that can raise people up, literally, and spells on the other end of the spectrum that can totally obliterate. It's a good example of the power that we have in our words, and perhaps we don't give our words enough consideration before we utter them. Jesus tells us that it's not what goes into a person that defiles them, but what comes out of them. How they speak causes dreadful harm to other people and to themselves. And in the letter of James this morning, we are reminded in 2 beautiful metaphors by the writer that a forest fire, a vast forest, can be set on fire by a single flame, and a vast vessel or ship is directed by a very small rudder. The tongue is one of the smallest members of our entire physical body, and yet it has the ability to do great good and great harm. In one of his many books, called The 4 Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz has the first agreement with yourself as to be impeccable with your word. What are the habits that you have adopted in your lifetime? How many times do you speak without thinking? And I suspect there isn't one of us who can't look back on their past and see a person that they have truly hurt because of carelessness or even deliberate use of words. If we are to believe that the words that leave our lips, cast out into the ether as a form of prayer, will exact a response from the divine on behalf of ourselves or another person, then what type of a response are they exacting in the lives of individuals around us, and indeed within ourselves? What are the words that we are saying to people? Can we be careful with these words? Can we choose them carefully in order to build up, to support, to give life, rather than to tear down? What are the words that were said to you as a child, perhaps, or to you during your life that you have held on to? And how are they affecting your life today? God did not fashion this world with his hands, but with his words. Let there be light. And there was light. May God's light inside you fashion your words, make you careful in the choice of them, that they may build up and bring good in his name to those you encounter in your everyday lives.